Hey, what's up? So this is going to be talking about something that no one else is talking about it almost as usual, right? And then you can go elsewhere and then forget all about it and then fucking fall for the next trap again. So all the American media is agreeing with the France yellow vests, like all them liberals, Republican, um, the libertarians, the alt-righters, the neo-Nazis, the GDLs in with them now, so them too. And I mean, plus it was that way on the GDL book anyway. So like literally every single group is backing the revolution in France, and that's like one of the signs that that's actually America destabilizing France because liberals and Republicans never agree on anything. And so, I mean, it's literally like every single outlet. So it's obvious it's the government that it's obvious it's our government that's in France right now, along with other people. But I've got like the list of all this stuff, so I'll go through it here. Even like some of the old school peace people. What's up? What's up, guys? Even some of the old school peace people, like the early truthers, Paul Craig Roberts, are coming out, and it's just like no one's saying anything except for the yellow vests are legit, and they don't know. And there's even a picture right here where there's a Star of David on one of them. So, I mean, that's who's behind, like, that's who's coming from Ukraine, definitely, that they're saying is coming down there. So, I mean, that's who it always is, right? That's who everyone else is as well. So you see, even the libertarians are calling for regime change in France right now, and they're supposed to be like these peaceful people and all this. But I didn't technically. I'll have to tell you, I didn't see Ron Paul call for it directly, but he was on a show with Jesse Ventura, and then Ron Paul came on the show. So Jesse Ventura, Truther Movement actor, TV actor, is behind it, behind regime change in France as well. But the one of the main guys, he brags he writes for Kokesh, which is like the guy who basically would take the helm from Ron Paul. So he says he's like Kokesh's main writer, and I got no reason to disagree. He's like got all these pictures with him and always talking about it on his news page where he writes the stuff. So he says he writes for Kokesh. So basically, it's like the leaders are saying that. Uh, he's always been going along with like the globalist agenda, like Ron Paul has. So they're saying that the yellow vests are anti-globalists, but they're not. They're all being supported by the globalists. So how would they be? In the argument, I already made the video 2 years ago that America was signing legislation that said, nah, unless you consider some of my friends girls. But America signed legislation saying that, or they're trying to pass legislation saying that they would like be global police force, and if Europe got out of hand and said something anti-Semitic, they'd go tell Europe how to do it. So I made a video on that 2 years ago, about how America is like writing legislation to declare war on Europe eventually, because when they're done robbing all the other nations, they're going to run out of cash because they've already squeezed all the other nations dry, and like all empires, they'll have to move, and they'll eventually turn on their own people, even, which I mean they've already done that a long time ago, but they're gonna, like, it's a dumb move to turn on Europe, but they're gonna have to because Europe's got money and they need money. So Europe's got oil, and I'm sure Paris is probably hiding gold, and that's probably why they're so worried about France. Or France, I don't know if it's in Paris. I wouldn't think they'd hide anything there. But they're totally calling for war on these people, basically. And that's how it works. Like the media's all ran by the same people, and then the government and the FBI and the CIA work with them, and that's how they convince people to invade all these nations. Like when the anti-Muslim agenda came, like in full force, they just switched all these people, like David Icke. Everyone switched like within a week. You notice everyone was switched over, but this time I noticed it took like a day. So there's like a script. Well, I can't actually say that. It looked like it took a month and a half, but sometimes some of that stuff in the past might be fake that they just added today, but it's time stamped from 2 months ago. But I didn't see anyone talking about yellow vests until like a couple weeks ago. And I mean, I made a video on France. I'm not sure if that video's up like that, but I know the beginning of my alt-right videos talks about the Le Pen family. And that was probably around the time I did the video saying that America is writing legislation that they can do this and that to Europe. You know, basically, like they're setting the stage that they're going to have to teach Europe a lesson, and they're also it like that direct legislation. Like they're going after them for being anti-Semitic, or that ties directly into overthrowing Macron because Macron is saying all this stuff. He's really saying the stuff that the Nazis who are attacking him are saying therefore, because the Nazis and the alt-right are controlled opposition, and so they say they're going to do one thing, but they have no morals and values. They don't live up. They don't even live up to their own superior morals and values. They follow the same people they claim they invented themselves to defeat. What the hell is this? What is that? Okay, dude. Sorry, this. See, it told me I missed something, but I didn't miss anything. I'm messing with this other weird app, so it's like it's distract. Imagine that it's distracting me while I'm doing this. But anyways, they the Nazis are talking like they're against these people, but they're really not. They're like really working with those people, and it's exactly who Le Pen is. And like if you follow the actual Le Pen story, the Marine, the female, is the sellout, and she is literally sleeping with the Illuminati, whatever you want to call them. You know, if you look into them enough, if you follow who they are, you'll know who they are. You'll know what Illuminati really means and all that, all those code words used to protect them. It's not really to identify them, it's to say, hey, invisible people, so you don't see them. But that's who's like really running the Le Pens. So maybe I shouldn't drink if I'm going to talk. So it's like they seem to be mad at Macron because they say Macron worked for Rothschild, but Macron is like talking against Rothschild. He's talking against Israel, and that's Rothschild's Israel. So he's like the only one saying any of this stuff on the world stage, and so America has to attack him because he's like even Kim Jong Un wasn't talking about this stuff. He just said, you know, forget Israel. And but Macron is saying other stuff. He's saying a lot more than just forget Israel. He's saying America's terrorist. And that's why he called for, hey, I'm good, how are you? What's up, unicorns? What's up, Angel? So they're saying Macron is evil because, but that's right after, that's right before America attacks him. Like they already said 2 months ago, we're going to teach you how to not say what you're saying. He's like, well, I don't believe Jerusalem's the capital of Israel. I don't believe you can just move in there, and he's basically saying, I don't believe you can just move in there and steal their land and say that's yours, Trump. And then Israel media writes out that anyone who doesn't want Jerusalem as the capital will be taught that Jerusalem is the capital. They will know better. And basically, they're just saying they're going to kill you if you start opposing them. And that's really what he's been doing. But these people who are the Nazis and everyone behind them are like, they claim they're for that cause. Even some of the yellow vests have like pro-Palestinian vests on, but it's like, why would you attack Macron then? Because Macron, he is the only one saying this shit. Le Pen wasn't. The alt-right Nazis went from like claiming they were like superior, good white people to just being like thugs and goons and like government worshippers. They didn't. They didn't. They didn't start to save these people or anything or end the wars. I'm doing some lip service about ending the war. That's stupid. Only an idiot's going to fall for that because they do that every 3 years. Just like these government overthrows, they do these regime changes every 3 years. And they even call them the color revolutions. And these are called the yellows. And so the CIA has overthrown several areas in that land. And about 6 of them were colored revolutions, and they had different names. And apparently, they probably do that a lot more. I think they do everything on schedule. It's like every 3 years. So, whatever. But in America, what they don't tell you is that they always call the French cowards. I don't know why. Like, I'm sure people looking at America from the outside think like Americans hate no one more than blacks and Arabs, and they like really hate blacks and Arabs, and that's it. But for some reason, like when you're inside America, you don't get that. Hey, I've been good. How about you, Da Vinci? What's up, Jelly and Rock? Anyways, I'm not saying they don't hate blacks and Arabs, but they don't ever like talk about that. They don't say that. They just send the cops to shoot them, and that's that. Or they stay away from them. But they actually talk shit about the French. Like they've always called the French cowards. And I'm always like, it's stupid. What do the French have to do with anything? Like, why are you bringing the French up? What's going on there? Yeah, I've always thought that. And then now they're calling this group is called the Yellow Vests, and in America, yellow means coward. So there's all these links to the government backing the toppling of France, the USA government backing the toppling of the France government. Yeah, all right, man, follow me back. So I mean, it's just them over and over again. It's to the point they're just like spitting in your face, and it's pretty obvious it's them. Except for when you look at the people, they're not Americans in the yellow vest, but people are saying the Russians are coming down, and they just said Donald Trump was working with the Russians. So, and the Russians just took over Ukraine too, which is old Khazaria. So that's like Israel too, and then this like all ties back into Israel. Like they threaten him that he will. What's that plot? They threaten him that they will come and you know make him change his mind. And all these they're all tied in. Like I don't even know where to begin. I can just start naming all the media. RT, Russia Today, state-funded media, is backing it. And uh, Macron openly asked Trump to stop meddling in domestic affairs. Macron called for an army to protect itself from America because America's been invading everyone, and Europe is some of the only people with money left. And they know better. I mean, like I said, I made a video 2 years ago. America is passing legislation about Europe, and that included Europe in the wording. In other words, they're going to try to push their police state on Europe to try to milk it dry. Hey, what's up, guys? What's up, Denise? Didn't see that. Yeah, cool. Yeah, that's exactly what it's looking like, man. It's the yellow ones. It's the cowards. So, TYT is backing it. They're telling us it's the liberals and the Republicans have come together finally. In America, that's never going to happen, but yet it is happening. And the important thing is they're lying. They're lying about the links. I mean, he just worked for one of the bankers. Everyone is like the slave of the banker. Just because I've worked for the rich people in my city, it doesn't mean that I'm one of them. They've tried to recruit me into the FBI and the Trump shit. And just because I have, like, just because I have shit doesn't mean, just because I have gifts they've given me doesn't mean I'm like fucking working for them. I mean, I openly told the person, I was like, you seem a little like you might be FBI or something. Like, I will fuck you up if I find out that you're really FBI because you're fucking terrorizing me. And I mean, that's the truth. That's the way it is. I said, hey, I'll come into your group and I'll burn it the fuck down. Like, if you're trying to recruit me into the Illuminati, fucking, that's like your dumbest mistake you've ever made. So, I mean, you can hang out with these people, and like my father's worked for them with his business. He doesn't know anything about what he's doing. Like, and I didn't know anything about. I've stepped inside certain people's houses. I don't know if they're involved in this stuff or not. I know some of the people my father's worked for, and some of the people I went to work, tried to apply for the limited, and fucking Lex Waxner runs it. And my dad's done parties for Lex Waxner and stuff. I probably shouldn't say that. I shouldn't mention anybody because, like, I'm like putting their name on a hit list here. But, I mean, just because you work for them every now and then doesn't mean you're necessarily a slave. But Le Pen is So Le Pen is literally in bed with one of them, and then so is Trump. So they're like both like Purim ritual people. Hey, there's some that are a mixture on the Android apps, man. Those are good too. But it really depends, man. If there's some new stuff, some new solitaire, some new poker, I'll play those. I'll play whichever, man. So they're working with these people against them because their bloodlines are now mixed with them, and all the media backing this stuff is the same elite bloodlines. Like they're saying it's anti-Rothschild, but it's like the Rothschild media. It all comes out. I didn't check AP and Reuters directly, but all this stuff is usually just people repeating what AP and Reuters told them to say. It's like the programming that programs your local news. So that's how come they all sound the same, although sometimes they sound eerily similar. Which type of axe? You mean guitar? I guess only I asked that question, huh? I like the small axes without any tang on them. I mean, without any wrapping or large handle where it's just one piece of metal. You could put some rapping on it if you want, but you probably meant guitar. I don't know. I haven't tried enough guitars to know which one my favorite is. Uh, every time I try one, there's like a little something wrong with it that I can find, and it's never perfect enough. And then there's probably some custom guitars that are like really good with like scallop frets and filed down frets and good playability. But all the guitars I've had have had something wrong with them here or there. So I can't say for sure if any guitar is really perfect, but so I just go for looks. I always went for like BC Rich Warlocks, but I got that Moser Custom Bass. They're pretty good. I can't say I recommend that brand though, because it's like, I mean, it's really fucking good, I guess, but it it can sometimes have a price tag. But there are like flaws. But then again, that was like one of the first runs, so I'm not sure, about any of their other guitars. But I don't think anything I played has had low enough action to make me think it's like my favorite guitar or anything like that. There's got to be better out there I haven't tried. So with the Macron thing, he wanted to protect himself from America with the army, but he also said the trampling on Palestinians won't resolve the Israeli-Palestinian conflict. And more than opposing Jerusalem, I think that probably hurt the Israelis more for him to tell people words like that, to tell Trump to stop trampling on Palestinians. That would definitely be a reason to kill you because out of all the stuff I've done and all the baiting I've done, they really dislike you being just anti-war, but serious. Like there's the anti-war out there that's like we're anti-Zionist, and they don't know what the fuck they're talking about. They're opposing like nothing. Like it's like the alt right. Who are they opposing? They're opposing nothing. They are who they claim to be opposing. That's who they're opposing. They're opposing themselves by posing as opposing themselves, but they'll never actually oppose themselves because they are themselves and they're protecting themselves. So that's the same exact way with the anti-Zionists. They pose as anti-Zionists, but they're really Zionists because they're really protecting the people who are actually behind Zionism just because they say they're not Zionist. And so they're protecting the Zionists, but they're claiming to be anti-Zionist. And just like the Nazis here, behind Le Pen in France and Donald Trump, oh yeah, they want people to say anti-Zionist. It's a scapegoat. It's good. It's like Khazaria, which is real. I mean, Ukraine was overthrown, and I mean, it wasn't called Ukraine yet. I'm sorry. The nation was overthrown, and then they called it Khazaria. And then apparently at one point in time they lost it, and it got called Ukraine. I didn't, and couldn't find the story on that, but it's basically the same thing. So, like they're really back in it, and I noticed, like I was saying over the past couple of years that people like why are we involved in Europe politics? Like why are we listening to European alt right? Like why is there an alt right in Europe if it's an American thing? And it's because they set it up because they're trying to get USA is trying to get its foothold in Europe because just because they're white, there's people under the impression that like America is like 100% white supremacy, and it is, but it's not. They'll kill white people just as frequently. I mean, they don't care. They'll they killed the Germans. They'll go over there and kill the Brits and the French, and it's nothing. It's not them. As long as it's not like the 2 million people who work for the government, it doesn't really matter. And they'll kill each other too. Like that, we're getting down to the point where they're going to have to killing each other to make it look real. All of them are behind it. Fox News. Now the Fox News, I couldn't find exact wording saying, "Hey, we're behind it," but you could tell all the commenters were behind it, and so the commenters 90% of the time are just telling you what the media's been telling them over the past 2 months because they're just repeating what was put in their heads by the channel they're at. That's how it was easy to see the GDL for who it was, because the commenters told me who it was without having to watch any of the videos. The commenters told me what they think, and I know that the channel they're on told them what they think. So, yeah, that's how I'm connected to multiple accounts here. This other software is new, LiveMe, but this YouTube keeps crashing. So, I'm using other methods to do stuff. I actually stream guitar over to that one. I think I played for like 4 fucking hours, man. So, this other one, Vice. So the alternative media, I mean, what media is doing it? The libertarian, the Republican, the liberal, the truther, the conspiracy theorist crowd, the alternative liberal media, the alternative Republican media, the Nazis, the undercover Nazis, the GDL, and I mean, like everyone's involved, and especially times of Israel. And Israel's involved because they have the yellow jacket protesters in Israel. So Israel doesn't allow protest. They'll kill you. They won't let you in their country if you're the type of person who's going to protest. They literally have laws against disliking Israel. You can't just protest in Israel. You can't get in the front door to Israel. That's why Adam Green, GDL, did not go to Israel unless he's on their side. And some people have already shown links to that. So if there's yellow jackets, yellow vests in Israel, that's definitely staged because they wouldn't allow that. And they have to put that in Israel because it's going to look, anyone with a brain is going to be able to look at this and be like, if they know what's going on and they know what Macron's really said, then they're going to look at that and be like, oh yeah, that might involve Israel, right? Like, you don't have to say it does. You could just think, hey, that's one possibility. Like, who are these yellow vests? I don't know them. If you claim you know who the yellow vests are, then you're probably a Fed. Because no one knows who they are. And people in America can't trust accounts on the internet that say they're from France. You're an idiot. You don't just trust an anon account that says, hey, I'm French. No one does that. They're not doing that. They're trusting the media, which is all working together to say that. And it's like the same media that not only backed Trump, but posed as anti-Trump, but got Trump elected because they're just so stupid no one would have cared about them. And you would have went with Trump by default. But this time they're all working together, and the liberals and the Republicans, like, the only time they work together is when they're about to invade another nation, like 9/11. They worked together on 9/11, mostly. I guess CBS tried to be journalistic-like, and they reported on Israeli truck bombs on 9/11. But that didn't get talked about anymore. And after that, those people definitely went into a government worshiping mode. It was like, what was that, Tom Brokaw? Was that the one? He went in, late in life, he went into like some sort of government worshiping mode. Like they threatened to kill him or something. He was always like kind of integrity, but I think he reported on that stuff. On the trucks with the bombs on the Lincoln Bridge. Is that what he said it was on? And then later in life, he acted scared. So, I mean, that's what's going on with the media. And this one, the the picture I got from the libertarians, the Talmudic libertarians, the guy who says he writes for Kokesh, who's going to be probably the candidate for 2020. I don't see why he wouldn't ever be. He always says he's going to be the candidate, and he's always like probably the most viable candidate, but they never run him. It's kind of like he's just a mouthpiece that claims he's going to run. But anyone who's a libertarian knows who Kokesh is. He's like the only guy left uh, who can, the most popular guy who would run, because Ron Paul's never going to run again. And he's got Star David up on his shit. And I tried to click on that to see what it was and get like a still image, but it's just the image they've used for the video cover. Like just to spit in your face. It's not really got anything going on. They've just decided to impose their Star of David on the yellow vest protesters. And like Macron is like the most talking about the globalists by names and saying, I'm surprised he doesn't come, like, he doesn't have to come out and make oven jokes because Marie Le Pen made oven jokes, but his daughters sold out to the Purim. Well, not fully through the Purim, but yeah, I guess Trump's like deep into the Purim ritual, and she's just at the Purim ritual. She's just in the Purim ritual. Like Trump's like way beyond the Purim ritual. Like, but that's just more proof. I mean, he looks like one and he acts like one. He's part of their bloodline already. He's not part of the Purim ritual, but it's possible that Le Pen is. But she looks kind of iffy too. But Macron is the only world leader talking about this stuff. Really. I mean, North Korea kind of jokingly did, but not really like Macron is. Macron took it straight to the heart with Trump is trampling on Palestinians. And you didn't say Israel's not legit. Like, you can say that. That's anti-Zionist. But you can't say Trump's trampling on Palestinians. Because that's like, the deepest cut you can give to America is to pull the liberals' heartstrings. But the liberals are backing this. The liberals are, TYT's back, and it French Yellow Jacket uprising is a warning. That's what they say. It's a warning. It's a warning to who? It's a warning to Macron that he should stop opposing Israel? What is Macron doing that the liberals are disliking? He's supposedly opening borders or something. I really doubt that's the case because they're not lying. They're not telling the truth about anything else. There's just so much going on that it's obvious. What's up, monster? Just so much going on. It's obvious that they are working to fabricate this agenda. And why would they be wasting that much media effort and money and time to fabricate this agenda if they weren't behind or deeply involved in the uprising itself? And of course they're in the uprising. And look, there's people, Andrew Carrington Hitchcock, like another one of the Nazi leaders. I mean, literally, I went to the time of looking out through all these medias, making sure that almost every, because it's just like weird, they're all in on it. Usually they're only like 80, 90, 95% are in on it. Like no one's saying, hey, maybe the yellow vests are not on our side. Or who are the yellow vests? No one's even saying who are the yellow vests. No one cares. They don't care who the yellow vests are. Why not? Who are the yellow vests? they're like barely wearing masks and people don't care who they are. I go outside my fucking house with a mask and the police fucking pull me over. The police stop me. They would tell me to get out of the store. They don't go, hey, we're on your side. Hey, it's the bloody mask. It's the bloody vests. We're on their side. The bloody vests. We love him. So, and then RT is like a complete government channel here. And you can tell it by following it because there's so many commenters always on the narrative. And then they do the Nazi tricks too. Like they'll have girls. They have this girl that's real famous in everyone. And I just try to, I try to tell everyone, like, you're a fucking idiot. That's not even a real girl. It's just a Russian fucking account. Oh yeah, you brought up Blackstone Intelligence. That's right. He is on that too. Yeah, and Alex Jones. I mean, all the truthers are in it. Like all the ones who came from Alex Jones, like Paul Craig Roberts, Gerald Salenti, everyone. Gerald Salenti's in on it. Oh, Chris Dorsey. Chris Dorsey, Virginia Militia, says he is the yellow vests. And I called that a long time ago because he's the Fed who openly has the guns. And so he's going to lead the dangerous missions because he's openly prepared. And it won't look stupid if he has to shoot someone. People won't be like, where'd you get a gun from? He'll just be like, hold on, I think it's trying to make me play a game. Yay. It's a game. Hold up. Oh, game time. Okay, no. Okay. It's trying to distract me. Sorry. I'm learning this other thing and it has like interruptions and it'll be like, check this out and all this. It's like a streaming service, but it's like conveniently interrupting me. So, Gerald Salenti's in on it. Like you said, Blackstone Intelligence. Yeah, and Adam Green was like on Red Ice right after they had the unspoken reason behind the yellow vest protest. So that's Red Ice telling you the unspoken reason, not me, right? Now, the unspoken reason behind the yellow vest protest is fucking what they say is white supremacy, which it's like, why is the fucking liberals in America backing this if it's like the white supremacist empire they claim to be against? No, I think they're a backup. They're I don't think they're like fucking allowed to be on like that. But I think once those people interact with each other, I don't know. I had one guy try to interact with me, but I like was like, wait a minute, this is way too Zionist for me. And then I just needed a break. So that never happened. But then I seen that dude was with GDL, so and I had less suspicions about him than I did um, what you just said, Renegade Broadcasting. Yeah, I don't know, but I can't say anything about them for sure. I didn't find anything on them, but they're like hanging out with a lot of these other people, or they have in the past, and that's what makes Scott Roberts seem questionable, is because he's hung out with England in the past, and I can't get certain people to interact with me. I've tried it here and there, and I definitely haven't given it a lot of time, but They don't seem to want to interact with me. Even like some low-key geometria person, I was trying to get to interact with me, and I was like, let's do an interview. I mean, I wasn't even like, trying to say, hey, like we're gonna start questioning you. And I could have made it so the interview was not about questioning them. What's up, Sprinkles? Foxer. I think I already said what's up, Foxer. So I was just like, okay. And then I tried to talk to Patrick Little, and he was too busy for me too. But this other low key person, it's like, wow, they're like, she's got a lot of interviews. It's like, what do you mean? Like, no one knows who this person is. Like, I barely have heard of you at all. You don't have she doesn't have a lot of interviews. And she was being handled by a Goldsteinberg. Like, that's who was answering the emails, was like some sort of Goldsteinberg. Yeah, they've changed their techniques. Like, I'm not banned from YouTube anymore, but I haven't gotten a strike in years. But that's because I keep looking back at all my videos, and most of my videos have like warnings on them and shit. They change their method. But G Plus was like a free place, and they're about to shut that down. Facebook, like I can't say certain words, and I'm not on there. Like right now, for some reason, I've been allowed on there for 3 days. That's like the most I've been allowed on Facebook in like years. And it's like probably partially because I haven't said anything for a while, and I like go back through my past and I'll start erasing shit because it's like what they'll do is they'll just stalk me. Like I've given them enough shit that they can fucking delete my account permanently, but they don't. And then what the other people do is they'll just report me once a month. And so if you can have your Facebook account, that's weird. And you can't create additional Facebook accounts. They don't allow you. They'll start asking for your ID and then you'll never get another one. Yeah, I mean, never is a big word, but that it's pretty close to never. Like I know all these sites. I can describe how they work and everything. And Facebook is like the most strict. And when I say Facebook is the most strict, I can go to Twitter and get banned in 30 seconds. And most of my accounts were banned in under 5 minutes, probably just because it took the other person 5 minutes to read my fucking post that I sent to them. So, yeah, that's suspect when they can say that shit. But Chris Dorsey said he is the yellow vest. That's like super, 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 super suspect. Like they, like me calling it suspect and not saying that that's admission of guilt is just like I'm basically insulting him. I'm saying he's dumb. You know, when these people leading you, when you say, how do they not know that? It's like, well, wait a minute, why are you following them if they're not smart, if they don't know what's going on? And it's like they're not dumb. They know what's going on. And that's like a really, really bad sign that he's talking about having yellow vests in America. It's because like these are like people trying to topple fucking France, and they're doing it in the name of Trump. So wait a minute. Oh, Chris Dorsey's against Trump. Why would he back something that's pro-Trump? Like they're really, really pro-Trump. They might claim it's liberals and Republicans, but it says right here, "Make France great again. We are French Gillette's Johnnes, and we want a French Trump." I mean, literally, like, but none of the people out there writing look white. They're all like Khazarians. Well, I guess a couple of them do, but all the ones I've seen up close, when I looked for them, I was like, wait a minute, like these people don't even look French, because someone was like, they're Russians. It's like, okay, they don't, and they don't really look Russian either. They look Khazarian, Ukrainian, what the real Ukrainian would be, but except for when they show us Ukraine on TV, they show us like German neo Nazis, and they don't show us what a Khazarian looks like. And it's funny because below the uh, the Adam Kokesh mouthpiece page, like below his post the yellow vest, it's like in the police state post, and then below that's it in the war post. But that post is literally them working together to topple France and start another war and expand the police state. The legislation 2 years ago was basically them expanding the police state. So it's the same people, but on which side they're claiming the Yellow Jackets are against those people, are working for those people, and the people are finally rising up. So you would have to take over the media first before you can rise up against the media. Yeah, that's the whole point of rising up, is to take control of the media, to take it back. And that's not what's going on. Then no one took the media back. You can't, you don't just make the revolution happen by thinking the revolution's happening and then you magically control it. You wouldn't need a revolution. You just be like, hey, I control the government now. Yay. And you control it, right? Why would you need to? If you can do that with the media, you can just do it with anything. You don't need to riot. You just be like, I'm going to send a toothpick outside to riot for me. It doesn't work that way. You can't just be like, I'm going to riot against the leaders and the media is here to help me. The media the government owns, it's here to help me take over the government. That's not going to work. The revolution will not be televised. They aren't going to tell you when the right people are coming along because they're going to be scared of them. They're going to be scared. They're going to get fucked up. They're going to get messed up over that. That's why they're so scared. That's why they have to stage this. This is going to be the martial law stuff. I don't ever go around going, oh, martial law is coming, martial law is coming, martial law is coming. I'm not Alex Jones. I'm the one saying, hey, martial law is probably something that they're going to do someday. And now I'm saying, like, this really looks like, like, why else would they be doing this, right? What's France going to do? France is going to fall. France is going to be destabilized. So anyone can come in and take it over. And so their people are set back 50 to hundreds of years probably because Macron started talking shit about the people who control Earth. And I mean, that's what happens every time. You know, JFK wants to disarm him. He gets killed. None of these people tell you that. None of the truth movement don't tell you that. Paul Craig Roberts don't tell you. They say it's for the banker. Rothschild controls everything. It's like, even if the Rothschild did control everything, they control the goddamn routers and AP, and they really do. So these news outlets that their friends control are just as bad. But it's not just Rothschild. There's a whole bunch of other of them below Rothschild spreading the same shit, and that's what they're spreading. Is Americans should kill France, basically. Like, they're not saying it like that. They're just saying be peaceful and passive, man, because France has to destroy its government. Hey, what's up, man? What's up, Evolution Freeze Craig? Evolutionist Craig? I'm good. How are you? So it doesn't even make sense. Like, why would the Rothschild owned media start opposing Rothschild? It wouldn't. They're not going to do that. They're going to they're going to call on martial law. That's obviously what it is. They're calling. They got Chris Dorsey calling for yellow vest in March. So that's a pretty good guess to say that America is going to call on martial law in March. Although I don't think Chris Dorsey can command that many people. Everyone else is calling for yellow vests, though. So maybe they're all going to magically work together. Nazis and commies together. Last time they did that was 9/11. Yeah. I always find that if you're depressed, you got to get some hobbies, man. You got to find something to do. If you sit around being depressed, it's because you got time to sit around and be depressed. It's hard at first because you're going to suck at any sort of hobbies you try to develop, but after a while, you'll get good at them. And you'll be busy doing stuff and you won't have too much time to be depressed. Got someone over here saying they're depressed. So, yeah, what I just said is a good way to get over that. Yeah, dude, I mean, Patrick Little admits he's worked for the government. Nah, man. I mean, it's okay. But, yeah, man. I used to deal with that shit a lot. I still kind of do sometimes, but it's like, it's just a waste of life, man. To, to try to focus on shit like that. And then you end up doing stupid shit. And I don't think I can legally talk about this stuff. Definitely not on platforms that will ban me for it. I've Maybe I shouldn't go into what I was just going to talk about. But you can't really do anything because a lot of it fails a lot. So you can't escape the depression in this world. You can't escape this world. That's not how you can escape the depression. So a lot of failure rates there. You gotta learn to just not focus on it and try. Yeah, I know it's hard. What are you saying? I don't know what DM is, but I'm doing a video right now. Uh, so if you're talking about message, I mean, yeah, you can message me, but I can't. Like, I don't know how to use that app, so I can't promise you I can get to wherever messages are right now. And my phone's mounted, so I can't like type in it, right? But I mean, you can explain to me more what that is if I don't understand it, right? So I don't know, man. Really, there's not much more to it. I mean, it's like literally everyone is involved in this, from like the earliest conspiracy theory people. I mean, except for the one they killed, of course. Then Alex Jones took over. But even he was just old, and I don't know how much they killed him, and he protected them. So I don't ever mean to say that like he's fake. Yeah, I mean, you got to tell me more of what that is too, so I know how to do it once I can get to it. Or you mean like instant message? A video message, direct video message, or instant message. I'm still trying to learn this app, man. It pops up stuff, and I'm like confused as to what's going on. It's like, oh, there's prizes dropping in the air. So there's a lot of stuff in this app, man. I mean, there's a lot of stuff on this screen. You gotta explain it to me. I tried to learn the app. It had like videos that were tutorials, but there was like 5 second videos, and it's like there's so many options in this. The little 5 second videos didn't even tell me what they claimed they were going to tell me. I think I found it. Okay. Thought you meant like direct video chat or something. I don't know. But I messaged it back. So all these people from Salente to Craig Roberts, Fox, TYT, which is just another arm of like what they come from, NBC or ABC. It was one of those. So it's just another arm of them. And then Newsweek, uh, complaining about Macron calling for the European army to protect against the U.S. It says to protect against U.S., China, and Russia. So Macron thinks they're working together. So think about all that propaganda, like where they're fake enemies with North Korea, they're fake enemies with China, they're fake enemies with Russia, and Macron is saying that's not real. Like, kinda, he's saying he's worried about all of them. And he's probably right because, like I said, looking at the protesters, it doesn't look like they've actually hired Americans to go over there. That would be pretty suspect. But it looks like they've hired like Khazarians or something, which they just invaded Khazaria or Ukraine, and they just invented the tank, the Khazar military unit in Ukraine. So it is the Khazarians who are back in control of Ukraine. And they're bragging about it by making the Khazar military unit. So now, let me bring up the map again. That way I can see what I'm looking at. I was trying to like analyze the map and see where they're probably going next to invade and where they're going to invade from. But it looks like France actually like should be really protected from any sort of outside invasion. I don't know if Spain would be working with them, but there's maybe it's just France is the only one that matters out of all those areas because it's like a past empire. Maybe they have a lot of. Maybe they just like really are like superior military, and maybe that's why they had to take out Germany as well. And it is one of the largest. Like besides Poland, everything over there is shrunk into smaller areas that would easily be taken over, like Slovakia, Hungary, and then again, I've heard about Hungary in some of these other areas. So something's going on already there. Like all these little areas, Moldova, to the west of Ukraine would be in Russia would be easy to take over because they're little. So I guess that was That was Germany's whole thing as well, too, that Poland was a buffer to them, and Germany was like the outpost. And the uh, the rest of those people, like Germany was talking about protecting and stuff. And then Germany was like taken over by America in the 1950s. So Germany's not really a threat anymore. And the last big chunk of land, I guess, there is France. So destabilizing France, like, will disable probably I'm assuming with that size landmass, they have the largest land. They have the largest army in Europe, and I don't see why they wouldn't, because it's France and they have a history of that. And at the same time, it doesn't matter if they have that that largest amount. He's talking about building that army to protect him from America and France. But when you look at the map and you know what's going on geopolitically, they are the last standhold. The United Kingdom was kind of taken over a long time ago, but it's an island. It's irrelevant. They can't do anything. And it's small too. And it's like the size of, like, France is like 2.5 times its size or something, or 2 times. But it's connected to that land, and you're really disabled in a war when you're not connected by land. Now, I guess with subversive tactics, you could probably turn that around, but not against like Russia. The United Kingdom can just be like Russia's like freaking, like, most of this map over here is Russia, and UK is like a little nothing. UK is like a city in America compared to UK to Russia. Like, Russia's taking up the whole freaking map over here. I'm not gonna. I guess I could zoom out and get a better fucking example. But yeah, Russia's like the whole freaking map, the whole corner of the map, like a whole quarter of the map, and then United Kingdom's. So France really is the only thing over there left. Like, after they've destabilized Ukraine, aka Khazaria, there's like nothing over there except for France and Spain, and not sure what Spain can do because they've got a different front on the south. But that's like the last place they need to destabilize, to really break up Europe. And it's about breaking up Europe. They were talking about the Union. So, what is up, LM? Talking about wrapping it up here, talking about how the Yellow Vests are really American CIA, FBI. So, yeah, I mean, and the only reason why France is a threat is probably because they're like, yeah, I bet they are friends. Russia, China, and Israel. Yeah, but Israel is really not friends. I think they're just everyone's master. So I'm not sure how deep they're all working together. Like, I mean, you could make the argument Macron is working with the people who are overthrowing them. You can make that argument, but you can't make the argument that, you know, that Macron is the only Rothschild worshiper and Le Pen is a good person. That's what makes it look bad, but they lie. That's what makes it a lie, but they lie about both sides all the time. So you're always like, hey, look, that person, they're lying about that person, he must be a good person. Yeah, later, man. I was gonna go back through that, but yeah, I didn't even get to talking about Blackstone Intelligence. Um, yeah, it was weird seeing him. Like I said, all the people are backing it. Everyone. I'm not finding anyone who's not backing it. Oh, dude, did it just go off? What? I've got to watch. Yeah, it'd be a lot easier if I could just speak, man. It's hard to type while I'm holding this. And I'm like moving that. It's about to fall. Okay, so, um, yeah, I was getting distracted by this over here. But, I mean, that's pretty much it, I guess. I went through all these headlines, the discussion. I mean, there's really no reason to think that that's not the U.S. government over there because, and to me, like one of the most telling things is they're calling them yellow, and I don't think no one knows, but Americans are always calling the French cowards, and yellow used to be the American word for coward. I'm not sure when that changed, but it's just as classic an American apple pie as calling the French cowards, calling someone yellow instead of coward. It's like in all the old Western films. Like no one used to use that word coward. They just called him yellow. You look, it's the video game within the game. I've got to like not let that detract me. So I don't know, man. That just exposed like everyone though. Anyone who's on that is like really bad because they're buying into the government narrative, and most of these people are claiming. Hey, it's okay. It's just hard to do this. I'm like, it's hard for me to type like more in a simple response because I'm using like one thumb and on this tiny keyboard over here. So it's looking obvious to me that they're all involved in that, and I think I'm gonna quit this because my voice is just hurting to talk right now, or it's going to at least. And it's probably getting late anyways. I should probably eat some lunch or dinner or whatever it's supposed to be at this point. And I don't know, man. I mean, I could just go to more channels and be like, hey, look, this person's doing it, this person's doing it. But all the way from Salente to the GDL, everyone, like, I mean, none of you guys probably know who Salente is. That's how far back I'm going. But forget Salente. Paul Craig Roberts is probably before Salente, although they look, they're probably from the same era. Um, I don't know, but supposedly those people are around like before I was into it. So you go like all the way back from them up to the GDL, and everyone I can find is pro uh, toppling of France government. So it's obvious. Like in Le Pen, they're all talking about Trump. So that's and I was already exposing Le Pen. So it's obviously them. I mean, I was talking about Le Pen before any of this became relevant. Like, the only reason any Americans talk about Le Pen is because their media told them to. What's up, doll? And whatever their media tells them is usually not important at all. It's usually just lies and stuff. So they ended up worshiping Le Pen, which doesn't make any sense because the alt-right should have opposed Le Pen because of who she's dating, which is like entirely against them. But instead, they supported her, which was really stupid. And you could, like, I think they even, for a minute, they exposed that Marine was not Marie, and Marie had a good stance and Marine had a sellout stance, but now she's like the savior who should have ran France. And they need to get rid of Macron to put her in. But she's just another one of them. She's sold out to the Purim ritual. But they're backing Trump too, and he's sold out to the Purim ritual. So there's no argument that they're good people because they've been lying from the start. And why would the commies be working with the Nazis? Especially in America, where they just make up all this dumb stuff to fight about. It makes no sense. Any of their arguments ever, but they'll say it just to say the opposite. Like, because they don't want to agree with the other person on anything. Like, that's the only logical thing anyone could ever come up with. But although, except for, until you know better, that it's because they're just lying and making up stuff to make you look stupid because they're working together. But if you're making that argument, then why would you believe that when they're working together to tell you to overthrow France? And it's the same thing. It's just this time they're all saying the same thing. And then that means it's like a really important agenda. And it probably is that America is going to start trying to loot Europe. And when I say America is going to start looting Europe, they'll probably disguise it as like Russia looting Europe for the most part. Even though America already wrote a bill talking about they need to do this and that to, if the UK gets out of hand, we got to go over there and enforce laws. And, like, they might need help. Let's go enforce their... I mean, that's how they always do it. We've got some democracy for you. Here, have a handful of democracy. And they go, oh, you need help policing your citizens because they're talking about the people you can never mention. And that's what it... And if you just find who controls everything and you look at them, and then you see they're the people you can never mention, then you see Macron just talked about the people you can never mention, and that's the end of it for Macron. He's gone. Because they want him gone because he named them, pretty much. He came out, so did Marine's dad. Marie Le Pen, that father, pretty much named them. And they took him to court for that, because it's illegal to name them in France. So he went to court. And he probably got fined, and I forget, I don't think they would have given him jail time. I didn't really follow up, but he went to court. They were talking about that's illegal. You can't talk bad about certain people because they control your nation. But his daughter is sleeping with one and dating one, so she's protecting them. And then the alt-right who claims to be against them is backing them. It's totally stupid. It's like what I keep saying. Just, it's like a culmination of it's a real culmination of everything I've been saying, because I've been saying, hey, look, that's really odd that America included Europe in legislation, like they're going to declare war on Europe. And then now, like 2 years later, they're like sending a low-key army over there in yellow vest. And then I talked about Le Pen because it seemed pretty important to everyone else. It was on everyone else's mouth. So I looked into that and I talked about that. And now they're just coming around and doing basically this shit I said they were going to do. Just in a different way than they said they were going to do. I reported on what they said and the lies of that. I didn't say that, they said they were going to pass laws and make it legal for them to invade Europe if Europe's anti-Semitic. And instead of that, they're just going at France. It made you think they were going to go to the United Kingdom or something and enforce anti-Semitism laws where you can never talk bad about Israel and you never oppose anything Israel does. And they're trying to pass laws like that inside America too. So of course they don't care about France. They'll send people over there to enforce the laws. But it's really dangerous. They've already milked all the lesser people they could. So there's no more money to steal from them. And they've got to go to France next to start. They've got to go. They don't necessarily have to go to France. They have to start going to where money's at. And they can't go to Russia because that will end bad. And they can't go to China because that will end bad. And Europe's like in the middle of it all. And their people like can easily be crushed. It's like little frickin' areas. Especially considering it's already all broken up and they've been invading it. And they've been taking it over. I mean, how many wars has there been over there that America that I can link directly to them? And I probably did videos on it as well. Like, I don't know, did I do a video on Ukraine's Khazaria? I know I made a bunch of memes about it, showing George Soros and looking stupid, but they bragged in times of Israel that reverse migration, Jews are leaving Israel, reverse migration to Ukraine, to Khazaria, because they're Khazarians. That's what they said. I mean, so they were, and they're all, and then, that war basically was going on. And then they called their military unit Khazar. And then now they're saying, anyone who talks about us must pay. So then France talked about them. Now France has to pay, but it's about milking them of money because they're running out of cash. And they have to prey on these smaller people. And that's like kind of all that's left. They've already milked South America, and it's hard to milk the Middle East, but they're doing it. And that's just not enough. They need to milk someone else to pay for the attempted milking of the Middle East. You can't do that with India's probably on Israel's side. And so you can't do that there. Plus, I don't think they have any money. They're always passing laws that they can steal stuff. Like, they don't have to pay for computer software. Like, the government's like, yeah, you don't have to pay for any of that. So they're just stealing stuff. They don't have any actual wealth. They have a bunch of theft. A bunch of freebies they've obtained. They're not like, they talk about like they're this cultural superpower that's doing something. They're really not. It's like China, and it's Russia who's like a physical threat with all that land, and that's probably filled with manpower. So they can't begin, and there's probably nothing to steal from Russia anyway, so why would you want to start milking Russia? That's a lot of land mass for probably a little bit of money. If they had more money, they would be like, they would look more like it. Like, their leaders, even when they try to look nice and try to do something cool, the cities they go through don't look like some special, like some brand new American cities do. American cities look like nicer than all this other shit you see on TV, except for maybe China. And so they have money, but they also have Russia backing them. And that means they also have weapons and stuff if they have all that money. So it leaves it to Europe. It's like they don't care about Europe. They already went after Germany. So they didn't care about that. They just went after Ukraine. And that was obviously, the people control America because Ukraine's actually Khazaria. And then when you look at Khazaria, Ukraine might be part of Khazaria, but there's more. They're going to have to take over Moldova, Romania, Slovakia, Hungary, probably Czechia and Austria. So the only thing really left over there with that could have any sort of military force is France, because they've already disarmed the Germany, who is like a protection for France and Spain. And that was the importance of Poland, because Poland was a protection of Germany. So when you're looking at it, they have to go through Poland, then they have to go through Germany to get to France. And then there's these little areas they can also go through. But if you go into the little areas, then you're surrounded by Poland, Germany, and then France, and you're like here. And that's really dumb, because then you're surrounded by the other people. And then let's not forget, there's Italy down here. And you never know what's going to happen with the Italians, because you just never know with an Italian. And they definitely, they don't make any news of Italy. But I'm sure they hate the Romans, right? I mean, they scapegoat him for killing Jesus. And it sounds like, whatever you think of that story, it sounds like they were trying to deal with the problem itself, possibly. And in fact, some argue that Jesus was their way to try to deal with them. So, they can't go through those little areas. Like there's Norway and Sweden and Finland up there and Denmark, but it's really, it's got that water mass. So the water is like really not a good battlefront and it doesn't really matter how good your military is, especially if it's like surrounded by islands. You're not really going to beat a large country with the Navy. I'm sorry. So that's not going to work. Norway, Sweden, Finland ain't going to do too much from there. And so they go through Poland, Germany, to France. And they've already went through Poland. That was why Germany went into the war. And then they went after Germany for that. So they already went in. They've already taken over Germany with, that one person, fucking problem child looking, the girl who runs Germany, Merkel. So then there's France left. And I bet you the end game is there's probably a bunch of gold in Spain. Spain is like known kind of for that, like traveling the world and getting the riches. France is just known for the empire. And so if all the money's going to be down there, if they've already looted Poland and Germany, and they technically control United Kingdom, France and Spain looks like the largest chunks of meat left there for them to take. And destabilizing France can get them into France. But it's more important that they just get rid of this Macron, because Macron is against the whole Israel thing, and so they can't control the earth from the middle of the earth if they don't own the middle of the earth. So he talked bad about them, and he's got to go. So probably not going to be too much more on this until some idiots in America start working with the FBI who are dressed in yellow vest. Who knows? Maybe I'll contact someone, and then things will change. But I'm pretty sure the yellow vest in America, Chris Dorsey's saying he's going to lead him. He's already like looking suspect because why would he not question that? Like, I understand probably not everyone knows who Macron really is and what he said, but he's like supposedly one of the most aware people. But at the same time, it always seems weird, like he's just trying to fight people for no reason. And I mean, I fight a lot of people over this shit, but it's always because they're fucking idiots and shit, or they're actual feds. Like, I might call people fed, but I guess Chris Dorsey's actually had the feds come to his house as well, right? So we both have had the feds, but it's probably likely I was dealing with the police long before he was, but you never know. I don't know. He's pretty deep in them these days, but that doesn't necessarily mean he's not one. When he's calling to be part of this controlled opposition, it's definitely looking really bad. And again, I'm gonna close it on this: the libertarians. You look, so you know where to look. It's called the Re-Evolution, evolution with the backwards 3. Adam Kokesh takes the torch. Public group on Facebook. Re-Evolution, Adam Kokesh takes torch. Now the writer Marcus Pullis claims he's working directly for Kokesh, basically. He's like his writer guy, basically. And he put the Star of David on the yellow protesters. And this dude is definitely on the side of the Star of David. I've already discussed. He's the leader of the libertarians, basically. You know the libertarians, right? And Ron Paul. Well, Adam Kokesh is the younger Ron Paul. He's the one they've said should run for president for a long time. And who ran last time? Gary? Did Gary run last time? I mean, he looks exactly like Leighton Merchant, so he's probably one of them. But that makes no sense that Gary ran, because Kokesh is technically the mouthpiece, the bigger mouthpiece, the one who's been running it. He's basically the head of the libertarians at this point. But if you're not a real libertarian, you might not know that. You might think Ron Paul is still the head. But Ron Paul stepped down basically a long time ago, and he just does media now. But Kokesh is like in the streets, acting up and stuff. And he does a lot of it. He was brought in by Alex Jones, who was like the true head of the libertarians. He was the head of the media libertarians. And it just looks like I did the video on the libertarians, right? So it's like, it's the same people. And Adam Kokesh is one of them, and he's a Russian. He's not. It really does tie back into Russians taking over America, but that's because they took over Russia 100 years ago. It doesn't mean they're Russians. It means the Russians wanted their base. It doesn't mean they're Americans. It just means they took over America. It doesn't mean they're Israelis. It just means they took over Palestine and Syria. And even 2,000 years ago, it didn't mean they were Israelis. It just meant they took over a place and some land, and then they called it Israel. So that's who Kokesh is. He's a leader of the libertarians. And so Marcus Pullis was the writer who writes at this public group, the Re-Evolution, backwards 3 instead of E for evolution. Adam Kokesh takes the torch. On that one, he put the Star of David. And, well, actually, it's not like quite a Star of David. It's like one angle is different, but it looks pretty suspect to me, especially because that's kind of what it's all about. But yeah, I mean, looking at it, you automatically think that's a Star of David. I'm sorry, I did say that's a Star of David, but it's technically like there's an extra point on it. One, two, three. Instead of 6, there's 7 points, but it looks exactly like it. And that's why I was thinking that. And it's hard for me to see because it's like drawn on. It's not part of the picture. Whoever did this that he's linking to, like, purposely put this like 95% replica of the Star of David on there. And that's about it. I mean, I could go through more of these people. There's more, I'm sure. I've just brought up 2 folders I had. And it's there's just so many Trumpers behind it, and the Nazis, and it's like they really are like pushing it because people know that what they're doing, like the alt-righters know they're not really who they claim they are. They're working for other people. Like, I talked to some of these people who lead some of these groups at the RNC even, which was fake and staged. But I'm going to end this video because I'll just be rehashing the same thing over and over. And I think that's more than enough to make it look really suspect, if not completely prove that that Americans are, I mean, it proves that Americans are supporting Macron not being the leader. But Americans have, why do Americans care? What does France have to do with anything? Like when are Americans going to support or oppose the Nigerian president? Or the president of Mumbai? Or what about the president of Mongolia? Why don't they matter? It's because they're talking about the France thing because that's what they want you to think something about it. They want you to support it and back it. That's what they did with everything else. They just, for a short while, they would all agree on something. Like the liberals agreed on hating Arabs when on 9/11 they agreed Arabs did 9/11, and then on the Paris Bataclan theater attacks, the Bataclan theater attacks in Paris, which I did a video on, that was actually Israelis who owned the Bataclan theater, and they sold it and moved to Israel on 9/11, on the date 9/11, not the year the original 9/11 happened on, but on the year the Bataclan theater attacks in France took place that were suspect and probably staged. So, see, they were already trying to stage some stuff in France back then. I already did a video on that. So they've been up in this for a while. See, like I said, I could just keep going on and on. I don't even think I talked about the Bataclan theater attacks, but it all ties back into it, and it all makes sense. And it's just more and more stuff where it's just all happening, and they want you to like focus on certain things. Like, they're going to have you stop thinking of the yellow vest, I bet, within like a week, because they just needed your support so they could look legit. But I think they'll be not talking to France, and they'll probably be talking about some stupid thing soon to get you so you don't think too much. If you think too much about one thing they've done, then you'll start to figure it out. And if they don't change the channel every week on you, you'll have time to you'll come to dead ends. Even if you can't think, you'll like come up with like some new angle, and it just like You're like, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, oh yeah, and then what about this? So they change a channel, and they'll give you some new stupid thing, stupid pet tricks or something to come up with. Obama dressed as Santa. They came up with that. And, they'll be like, oh, Trump's going to prison. They'll go back on that. But right now, it's everyone needs to at least talk about the vest a few times so you can support it and make it seem legit. But it's not legit because they're all advertising it. And most of them, we already know they're working with the feds. So most of what they say is a lie. And it's just they've basically called France has declared war by opposing the people who are declaring war on everyone. That's how they see it, and that's logical. That's completely logical because they know what that means. Just like anti-Zionists, uh, the Zionists say anti-Zionist is really they're really anti-Semites. That's because the Zionists know what Zionism is, and they're trying to tell you what it is, and the anti-Zionists are just trying to tell you whatever. But the Zionists really know what Zionism is. So if a Zionist, if someone in Israel says opposing me is anti-Semitic, it's not just a trick. It's they're telling you more of a truth. They're telling you how it got invented, how Israel got invented. So they play the tricks, but it's all the same thing. And once you learn the tricks, you can also see the tricks a lot easier because they have patterns for each one. They can't think a lot. They can't really. They seem to have run out of ideas probably a long time ago, centuries ago. Whenever they invented the earth, they ran out of ideas pretty fast. And they've always used those same ideas and those same methods. And maybe it's the only methods that work, but sometimes it just seems sheer laziness that they've decided to only go with certain narratives and certain methods. But I mean, that's some more shit. I'm going to close this for now. I mean, there's probably so much more than the Bataclan theater attacks and all this. I mean, you could just, but I already did the video on the Bataclan theater attacks. That's its own video. And the who Le Pen is its own video. And who Macron is probably, I mean, I already just did a video talking about Macron. And then I added some more to this one. So I don't think I did the video on Ukraine, but that's its own video. That's definitely its own video. That's a long conversation to have about what they've been hiding in Ukraine. And it's Khazaria. It's that simple, but the countless ways they've went about never telling you Ukraine is Khazaria, but spitting in your face about it at the same time, and telling you it's Khazaria in only Israel media. That's its own hour, 2 hour. And then, of course, Germany, that's like a 200-hour discussion. So it just, it just all flows over, but it all ties back into it making perfect sense. But the most basic thing is, the most obvious thing is liberals and Republicans are working together, and they don't do that. They don't. Anyone knows Republicans always say, liberals just say stupid shit. They don't know what they're talking about. And liberals always say Republicans say stupid shit. They don't know what they're talking about. And they're both right. And I'm sure they both also know it's because they're being told to say stupid shit. And that's because they're purposely like making them fight each other, even though there's not even always a reason to. But this time they're perfectly all sides, all six sides are coming together to claim that France's government is evil. Like the liberals are saying France's government evil. What about the American government? Like, when did the American government stop being evil to the liberals? And Trump's good. Like they're what's up, Yad? Trump's good. They're like cheering on Trump. The liberals are what? See, I mean that's how much more are they going to start cheering on Trump? The liberals was this the only one time in the world they're going to cheer on the liberals? I don't know about that, dude. But I'm wearing this. If it was like fucking annoying because I stopped to associate with another live stream, let me know. I know, like normally YouTube videos aren't like people like fucking spacing out and doing some other shit somewhere else. But then again, I've seen some of the music producers I follow on here pretty much like fucking not be on their live stream at all. But it's a little bit different when like you're listening to something and not fucking wait for me to get back. So let me know if that was like bullshit. And I'll see you guys later.